This man lived folded in half for 28 years. This is Li Hua from China. He has a very rare condition, and it meant he had to see the world upside down for 28 years. He was totally bent over with his face touching his thighs. He had to eat and sleep like this, and he was in great pain every day. His condition is so rare and complex, no doctors wanted to operate. That's because there was a high chance the surgery could end his life. His mother never gave up and tried to find a doctor for nearly 3 decades. Eventually, one day they met Dr. Tao Hu Ren. It took 4 very long operations, until finally Li was able to walk upright once again. He went from this to this, all thanks to the doctor and his mother. This is a great reminder to never give up on family. This man didn't bathe for 60 years, but he recently did, and he died. This is Amu Haji from Iran. He was known as the world's dirtiest man. That's because he didn't bathe for 60 years. He had a condition called ablutophobia. This is a fear of bathing. So for 60 years, Haji did not clean himself. But just a week ago, he bathed for the first time in 60 years, but sadly passed away right after. It's not exactly known what caused this 94-year-old man to pass away, but many say it was the anxiety caused by bathing for the first time in 60 years. This man does not know what a woman is. That's because he lived in the jungle with only his dad for his entire life. Meet Ho Vang Lang from Vietnam. In the 1970s, a war broke out in Vietnam. Many of this man's family members perished, so him and his dad decided to run away and hide in the jungle. The war ended 1 year later, but they had no idea, so they stayed living in the jungle for 40 years. They foraged and hunted for food, and even made a hut out of sticks. One day, people collecting firewood found Ho Vang Lang and his dad. They were shocked to hear that the war had been over for 40 years. Eventually, they were taken back into civilization and adapted pretty well. Because Ho Vang Lang had been in the jungle for so long, he had no idea what a woman was. He was too young to remember his mother or sister ever being alive. In 2021, at age 52, Ho Vang Lang sadly passed away. This man has been drinking gasoline for 42 years. This is Chen Dejun from China. When he was a young man, he had bad coughing and chest pains. He saw many doctors, but they all said they couldn't help. That's when Chen had an idea. He thought that drinking gasoline would stop these pains. He started to drink gasoline like it was water every single day. And amazingly, he did this for decades. The man lives in a rural village in China, and amazingly is still alive to this day. But I would not recommend any of you guys try this for yourself. This man lived for 82 years and never saw a woman once. This is Mihailo Tolotos, born in 1856. When he was only 4 hours old, his mother passed away. Nobody knew who his family was. So a group of men took him to a monastery atop of Mount Athos in Greece. But how did he never see any women? Well, no woman has been to Mount Athos in 1,000 years. It's illegal for women or animals to enter the mountain. This is to ensure celibacy for the monks that live in the mountain. It basically means the monks can't get busy with women or animals. Mihailo Tolotos did not leave the mountain for 82 years. And in 1938 he passed away, having never seen a woman once in his entire life. Can any of you guys relate to Mihailo? This man is a hero. In January 2020 in China, masks were impossible to find. That's when this man ran into a police station and donated 500 masks. Cops quickly chased the man down because they were confused. But the man ran away, saying it was simply a donation. The police were stunned but thankful. They gave him a salute as he ran away. But why did the man run away so fast? Well, it's believed this man stole the masks from a factory. Many factories were making these masks and hoarding them. They were doing this because masks were very hard to find, so they could sell them for a lot more money. It's believed the guy worked at the factory and knew this was wrong. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. He stole the masks and gave them to the police before running away. That way he could do a good thing, but still not be arrested. If the guy stole these masks, do you think it was justified here or not? This man hasn't eaten for 70 years. This is Prahlad Yani from India. He says he hasn't eaten in 70 years. He says when he was 7 years old, he had a vision. and since then he hasn't eaten any food or drank any water. You may be saying he's simply making this up, but here's where it gets crazy. In 2003, Prahlad agreed to be monitored by scientists for 10 days. A team of scientists watched him around the clock for 10 days in a hospital, and during this time he did not eat or drink, and he didn't even use the bathroom once. The scientists were amazed and baffled too. Humans can only survive 8 days without food and 3 days without water. Prahlad passed away in 2020 at the age of 90, and no one knows how he survived all those years without eating or drinking. This man hasn't lowered his arm in 45 years. This man is named Amar Bharati and he's from India. In 1973, he left his job, his friends, and his family. He decided to dedicate his life to his religious beliefs. As a sign of devotion, he decided to raise his arm. At first, this was very painful, but apparently now it's fine. But his arm is now very weak and can't be moved. That's because he hasn't used it for decades. Now many of Amar's own followers have decided to do the same thing. Amar's own followers have now raised their own arms for years and sometimes decades.